So if I was thinking in my French mind, I might want to cook some spaghetti et boulet Dijon. Spaghetti et boulet Dijon. If I was thinking in my Chinese mind, I might want to cook some Elidemia, her you one. Elidemia, her you one. If I was thinking in my Spanish like mind, I may want to cook today some spaghetti. Baby, listen, Granny, don't you cross nobody's border, baby. Stay over on this side. Don't you never attempt to cross nowhere, baby, because they won't understand nothing you saying, honey. We finna cook some spaghetti and meatball, child. Okay. So, hey, don't you go too far. Now, y'all know I had to just slide a little picture in there, let you see what the meatballs gonna look like when we get through with them. Oh, yes. But right now, we're going to slice up some bell peppers. And I just used one whole bell pepper here. I sliced it up first, then I'm going to dice them really nicely. And we're going to cut up some of these fresh parsley, and we're going to dice them up really, really nice. We have a sweet Vidalian onion. We're going to cut and dice it up really good. And once we get our fresh veggies and our fresh herbs all diced up really, really nice, we'll be ready to move forward to the next thing. Okay, let's go. All right, y'all ready? Let's get to our meatballs. Starting with our ground meat. I'm mixing 3 different types today: ground beef, ground pork, and ground turkey. So first, we're going in with 1 pound of ground beef. 1 pound of ground turkey. 1 pound of ground pork. So that's 3 pounds of ground meat that we're using. Ground pork, ground turkey, and ground beef. All right. Looks nice, doesn't it? All layered there together. They're going to be one big happy family, child, when we get through. So I'm just going to go in with let's do our seasoning first. And I'm eyeballing it, but I will have the correct measurements down below. Going in with some onion powder. Like I said, I'm just eyeballing because this is 3 pounds of meat. We're trying to get some good seasoning flavor up in it. That was onion powder. This is garlic powder. Black pepper. Instead of me using just salt, I'm going to use a little of my season oil. I love season oil. This has salt in it. All right, that's that. Of course, I got to put a little accent in the mix. And then I'm going in with 1 dried spice, which is Italian season. And I'm adding in just a little tomato, and this tomato basil seasoning. Just a little of that. And one last thing. This is some tomato bouillon. Tomato bouillon. I keep me a bottle of this. You can get the tomato, beef, and the chicken in this brand. It's by Knorr. Now, if I was doing like a brown gravy meatball or something, I wouldn't use this, y'all. So the only reason I'm using this with the tomato, because we're making spaghetti and meatball. That's the only reason this is going in today. If I was doing like a brown gravy or beef only meatball, then I would use the beef bouillon. All right. So that is all of our seasoning and dried spice. Now I'm going to shake in just a little. I'm going to go with about a tablespoon of this Worcestershire sauce. You know the word everybody have a hard time pronouncing, child. Worcestershire sauce. About a tablespoon and a half of that. Let's go in with our 2 eggs. Because we want our, get the shell out of there, Granny. We want our meatballs to come together nice and great. All right, so we got all that, Da, 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 da. All right. I'm going to squirt in just a little basil paste. And some garlic paste. Thought I had a little bit left in this thing before I put it in the garbage. You know how you try to squeeze the last bit out? So, it's empty for sure. So, therefore, I will use the last little bit of my minced garlic that I have. How about that? All right. Okay, now we got all of that. So now let's go in with our diced onion, bell pepper, and diced basil, fresh parsley, and green onion. We're going to go in with these. And that way, once we get everything in here, y'all, we're going to make our meatballs, child. Looking good so far. Make sure I didn't leave anything out. Okay. All right, so now we need 1 cup of breadcrumbs. And I'm using Italian style breadcrumbs because they too also come with, hang on. They too come with the breadcrumbs of season. You can either go with the plain breadcrumbs or you can go with the breadcrumbs with a few little herbs and seasoning in it. So we just need a cup. Because between the breadcrumbs and the eggs, those going to be our binder to bind these together. Kind of just like if you're making meatloaf, pretty much. All right. So now let me step away and rinse my hands just a little. Rinse my hands, gloves, just a little bit, because we picked up all those spices bottles. So we're going to use these same hand gloves. Go in and put this together. So give me a minute. That's why, to me, if you're using gloves, and you still have to still wash your hands with the glove on it, because just because you got on gloves and you're touching everything, that still doesn't mean that, you know, you're being safe and clean. Depends on what you're picking up. You still need to wash your gloves hand. All right. So now that we've done that, we're going to go in and squish, squish, squish until we get it all together, just like this. It's a good little workout too. Remember, we got 3 pounds of meat in here. Different kinds. Ground turkey, ground pork, and ground beef. And once you start mixing it in, you should be able to smell the seasoning and see it. You want to make sure it's incorporated all the way through. Right here, guys, if you need to add a little bit more seasoning, you can. This will be the perfect time because now we're getting ready to move to the next step. Okay, we're ready to scoop out our meatballs, but let me say this real quickly. To get that moisture in your meatballs, we know that the egg is going to be the binder and also the breadcrumbs, but also the breadcrumbs can serve a purpose for adding some moisture in. If you don't have breadcrumbs, you can still use breadcrumbs and you can use crackers, y'all. Just mash up through some crackers, or if you got some white bread, we used to call it back in the day, light bread. Honey, tear you about 3 pieces of light bread up together, pour you some milk on it, make it nice and moist and wet, and add that into your meatball, and that's going to give it some moisture. So what I did when I was off camera, I saved a little bit to show you. I had a few of these soup crackers, you know, the little oyster soup crackers, or cheddar crackers they call them. I had a few of those left, so I took maybe about a half a bag of this, if you can imagine. I crunched it up really good, and I put maybe about 1/4 of white milk on top of it, and I just stirred it up together and made it, you know, really, really nice and wet, like a paste like, and put it into my mixture just to add some moisture with it. So, all right, here we go. I'm using a tablespoon size scoop. This is my cookie scoop, but it's going to serve for our meatball scoop today because I want to portion them out. I don't want them to be as big as a golf ball, you know. Then that way when we put, you know, like 5 or 6 on our plate, we don't have to feel so guilty. You know, y'all know what I'm talking about, Chad. So, and it's going to give us like that size. And we're just going to roll into a nice little, cute little ball. Just like that. There we go. And y'all, this mixture is smelling so good. Now, don't get me wrong now, child. When I do my cookies, you know, I'll scoop and I'll level it off. I'll level it off. Child, we ain't doing that with this now. Whatever you pick up, I'm going to let it pick it up. Just for a little extraness, you know. Okay. I guess the purpose of the scoop would be to portion them where they can all be the same size. But you know, we're home cooks, right? We're not professional. So it's nothing that's going to be perfect. And you know what? I don't want it to be perfect. Shoot, I'll be scared of a child if it come from cooked out of a home. And if it's perfect, I'll be scared to eat it. It needs to look like it was home cooked and homemade. Ain't that right? That's what I'm talking about. So shout out to all of our home cooks out there, honey. Young and old. And the children that are coming up that are interested in it. Okay. So I'm not gonna bore you guys out because the way it's looking with all this mixture that I got left, I probably should have just got my long half pan, sheet pan, instead of this quarter size pan. And I think what I'm going to do too, I'm going to roll some and then freeze some. I think that'll be smart to do. And then I may just sear all of them and then just freeze the one that I don't use for today. Either or, some is going in the freezer. Meatballs and spaghetti. Okay, y'all, I didn't want to bore you out rolling all those meatballs up. So I got them in this brazier, and we're gonna take a look at them. I had to turn my heat up just a little bit because at first it was down too low. Because, child, when I put that first one down, I wanted to hear a sizzle. Oh, yes, sir. I wanted to hear them sizzle. But as you can see here, I had set my timer for like 4 minutes to let them brown, like on each side. And then I was kind of flipping them, letting them get a good nice sear. Because remember, we're going to finish them off in the oven. I'm going to pretty much try to cook the most of them on top. But we're going to just finish them in the oven. But so this is what we're doing right here. So as you can see, I'm still just flipping them all over. And once we get through getting these flipped over, we're going to put the top back on them and let them finish and check on them again. But we're headed in a good direction with these meatballs, y'all. And just look at those green onions just peeping through. I can't wait until this is over, y'all. Hang on in there with me now. Say it loud. Hey, say it loud. Say
They're
it
brown and
loud.
proud.
They are brown and proud.
They're
Say
brown
it
and
loud.
proud.
They are brown and proud. Y'all look at
They're
these
brown and proud.
meatballs. I may as well just let them go and finish up top, child. No, I want to put them in the oven for a second, though. Just for a sec. Just move them around. Y'all know what? I keep forgetting I got this other pan, child. I'm acting like this is the last pan. Let me speed my little process up. All right. Looking good in the neighborhood. Say it loud. They brown and proud. Just say it loud. They brown and proud. Meatballs. They brown and proud. Just say it loud, child. They brown and proud. All right, that's our first batch, y'all. Get ready to take our first batch out. Getting ready to take out the first batch. Oh, looking good, honey. Mister, she's not talking about you. The meatballs looking good, not you. And I'm going to put our sauce in this same pan that we're searing them in. We're not going to get rid of no flavors today, honey. All right, y'all, it's time to move to our next step. Let's get this good old ragu sauce in this brazier and let's drop these meatballs. The meatballs. So we're just gonna put all those, just drop them in there for right now like that. They're looking nice. They're cooked all the way through. I tried one, it was juicy.
Oh my gosh!
That's what I get for setting this pan on the edge, y'all. It almost fell off the stove, honey. But thank God for quick reflex, honey. I was able to catch it. Getting all the meatballs in our pan. And this is the same pan that we seared them in. This is my cast iron brazier that I'm using. Our spaghettis are ready. I like to cook them al dente for 11 minutes. All right, so our meatballs are there. I'm going to have to switch hands and get my spatula to kind of, so I can submerge them off. Let's see if I can hold. Okay, now that we got them cooking, simmering between a low and a medium heat, but I did add a little bit more water in, y'all, because it was a little bit too thick for me. Now, you may love yours really thick and hearty, but I just want to thin mine out just a little bit, and I use water instead of any kind of stock. So, yeah, this is it, y'all. I'm going to let this cook down like this for about 15, 20 more minutes, and we're going to be ready to dig in, y'all. Thanks for hanging out, and I hope you enjoy this video. Until next time, bye, Cookland.